Hello students, welcome to your English literature class. The topic for today's tutorial is The Darkling Thrush by Thomas Hardy. By the end of this video, you will be able to understand the summary of the poem, understand the theme nature, and understand the theme search for meaning. So open your workbook on Reverie at page number 6 and let us first understand the summary with the help of signposts. The speaker on a frosty evening is leaning on a gate which leads to a small forest. So the speaker recalls a scene of desolation in winter season. It was twilight, the light of the sun was fading fast. The speaker was leaning against a wooden gate. Frost had begun to settle on everything. All around there was a scene of desolation. While the speaker is outside on a barren landscape, the rest of the world is comfortably inside, warmed by their household fires. All around there was a scene of desolation. So the increasing darkness and coldness had forced all human beings to take shelter in their homes by the fireside to get its warmth. The sharp outlines of the winter landscape seemed to the speaker like the sharp features of a corpse, like the corpse of the dying 19th century. Now, children, corpse is the dead body of a human being. But here, the poet has used the word corpse for the 19th century. So he has personified 19th century. So as the speaker views the bleakness of the winter landscape, it seems to remind him that the 19th century had come to an end. The sharp features of the land seemed to be the century's dead body laid out for burial. The very process of nature is at a standstill. Every spirit on the planet seems as lifeless as the speaker. So the process of conception and birth, the seeds, they are sown, then they are swollen, they grow. So this process of conception and birth had slowed down as a result of the extreme cold of the winter. This extreme cold and frost that always accompany winter have robbed every living creature of zest and enthusiasm. The speaker himself does not feel cheerful or enthusiastic in any way. A bird suddenly appears and sings a song, disrupting the silence of death. So suddenly there arose a voice from among the leafless branches of the tree around the speaker. This was the voice of a weak, aged thrush, which was not visible at all. The thrush, children, is a bird. Its feathers had been beaten and disordered by wintry storms. Despite its weakness, it started pouring joyful notes in a bleak atmosphere. It seemed to be expressing its heartfelt delight. The speaker is unaware of the cause that makes the bird so happy in such a stark landscape. So the speaker wondered what could cause the thrush to sing. There was no sign of any joy. The whole scene around was bleak. It was dull, it was depressing. The poet could not make out the reason of the happy song of the bird. The old and frail bird has some underlying blessed hope, which the speaker does not have but longs for it. So the bird might have some happy expression. It might have some hope of good fortune about which the speaker himself is unaware of. So I hope you have understood the summary. Now let us proceed to the next topic, that is the theme of nature. In Thomas Hardy's poem, nature is governed by the cycle of life and death and is largely indifferent to human needs or desires. Governed means controlled, and indifferent means unconcerned. So, students, nature is an important theme in Thomas Hardy's poems, and in his poems, often nature is concerned with the cycle of life and death, and nature is indifferent to human needs and desires. In other words, there is no real communication between man and nature. The Darkling Thrush is about the death of hope in the 19th century. For having lost faith in God and nature, people could place faith in no other benevolent force. Benevolent means kind. So, through the poem The Darkling Thrush, the poet laments the death of 19th century. People had lost their faith in God due to rapid industrialization and the new scientific discoveries and theories. Hardy has described this through a barren landscape on a depressing wintry evening. Depressing means joyless. So, technological progress and scientific knowledge had not brought enlightenment to the masses. On the contrary, they brought more misery and pains. So, Hardy has described this loss in faith through the description of a barren landscape on a bleak wintry evening. At the beginning of the poem, the speaker describes himself as standing at the entrance of a gate leading to a coppice. The first of the metaphors used by Hardy to suggest death is the adjective employed to describe the frost, spectre grey, that is, as grey as ghost. So, note down the meaning of the word coppice. An area of woodland in which the trees or shrubs are periodically cut back to ground level to stimulate growth and provide firewood or timber. Employed means used. So, children, Thomas Hardy has used concrete imagery in order to express the idea of death. For example, frost has been said to be spectre grey, that is, as grey as a ghost. The word ghost suggests death. The weakening eye of day, the sun sinking toward the horizon, has none of the sun's usual connotations of brightness and warmth. Instead, the leftovers of winter, the dregs, make even the sun appear desolate. The approach of night and darkness furthers the idea of death already implied by the reference to winter and the spectre grey ghost. Connotations means an idea or feeling which a word invokes for a person in addition to its literal or primary meanings. Leftovers means something, especially food, remaining after the rest has been used. So here the winter is about to end. That is why the poet has used the word dregs for it, the leftover. Desolate means miserable. Furthers means develops. Implied means suggested. So sun provides warmth, light and brightness. But the poet has described the sun as weakening eye of the day. It is without brightness, without warmth. Similarly, night and bleakness also add to the idea of death. As the speaker looks up through the leafless vines, they remind him of the broken strings of a musical instrument which cannot produce any sound or music. This underlines the absence of harmony and therefore of joy in the speaker's vision of life. Underlines means emphasizes. So broken lyres. Lyres is a type of musical instrument, a U-shaped stringed musical instrument. So broken lyres indicate lack of music. And when there is lack of music, there is lack of harmony. So thus the poet indicates that there is no harmony in the nature and no joy in the speaker's vision of life. The poet has given an implied contrast between the warmth of the household fires and the cold and loneliness of the speaker. Thomas Hardy also says that people have gone back to their houses to warm themselves by the household fires. Thus, he contrasts them to the speaker who is out in cold and he is made to appear lonely. In the second stanza, the land's sharp features have been compared with the century's crops. Since nothing is growing, the fields are bare and the frost is covering everything. The landscape looks like a corpse. Implied means suggested but not directly expressed. Corpse refers to a dead body, especially of a human being. Bare means without natural covering. So in winters everything is covered with frost and snow and there is lack of vegetation. Nothing grows in the fields. Thus, to the speaker, landscape appears to be a corpse, a dead body. He calls it the dead body of the 19th century. The poet has developed the image further by comparing the cloudy canopy to a tomb and the sound of the wind to a death lament. Canopy, the cloudy sky hanging over the scene. So the poet compares the clouds overhead to a tomb and the sound of wind to death lament, as if the wind is mourning the death of the 19th century. Thus he indicates that there is no hope for them in the coming 20th century. The wintry setting is equated with the death of the century as well as with the loss of hope. Hope is generally associated with spring. The seeds of germ and birth are shrunken, hard and dry. They are not moist and swollen as they would be during the process of germination. Equated means compared. Swollen means larger than usual. Germination refers to the process of a seed starting to grow or the act of causing a seed to start growing. So children, winter is usually associated with death and spring is associated with life. So spring brings hope with it. But the seeds in the winter right now are shrunken, hard and dry. They are not moist or swollen as they are in spring. So the very process of germination has stopped. The speaker calls human beings, including himself, spirits which are fervorless. Fervorless means lacking passion. So the speaker or the poet uses the word spirit for the human beings as well. They are said to be fervorless, without any kind of zeal or energy. So here again the poet has used a word that expresses the idea of death, using the word spirit in place of human beings or in place of man. Thus, Hardy has de-romanticized nature by taking away even the capacity for renewal. Romantics such as William Wordsworth often depicted nature as awe-inspiring and full of meaning. Hardy's speaker, however, finds no inspiration in the processes of the natural world. De-romanticized means removed the romance from. Awe-inspiring means amazing. So nature has often been described by poets like William Wordsworth as to have some romantic quality. But by using the images of death, Thomas Hardy has removed all the elements of romanticism from nature. Though he has meditated on the nature of life, he has found no life in nature. Even the thrush, the harbinger of hope, is aged and on its last song. By using the exhausted landscape as a symbolic projection of the speaker's own life, Hardy makes a bleak comment on the potential of human nature as well. Meditated means thought deeply about something. Harbinger, a person or thing that announces or signals the approach of another. Exhausted means no longer productive. Projection, the presentation of something in a particular way. Bleak means not encouraging, and potential means capability. The speaker in the poem finds only desolation all around. Thus, he doesn't find any hope in nature. Even the bird, the thrush, that can be thought of being a harbinger of hope, is said to be aged, frail, gaunt, and is singing its last song. In this way, Thomas Hardy has symbolically presented the weak human potential through the description of bleak landscape. Thus, the entire poem has portrayed a bleak picture of nature, and the gloom is emphasized far more than joy. Bleak here means charmless, gloom means lowness of spirit. Thus, Thomas Hardy, through the use of bleak landscape, emphasizes the presence of sadness, melancholy, and gloom instead of emphasizing the presence of joy. I hope this theme is clear to all of you. Now, let us move to another theme of the poem, that is search for meaning. Now, what is the meaning of search for meaning? The search for meaning in life refers to the idea that human beings must perceive a sufficient amount of meaning in their lives. In other words, one should feel that one's life is significant, comprehensible, or purposeful. Life feels meaningful to people when they can satisfactorily answer the big questions about life, like who am I, why am I here, what is truly important to me, what am I supposed to do with my life, etc. I hope you have understood the meaning of search for meaning. Now let us start reading. The speaker's despair in the poem echoes Hardy's own search for meaning in the world where he finds no hope for humanity's future. Despair means the complete loss or absence of hope. Echoes means repeats opinion. Now, children, the poet Thomas Hardy himself did not see any hope for humanity in the coming 20th century, and he expresses this hopelessness through the speaker of his poem, who also doesn't see any hope in future. He has given details of the dying old world but cannot replace the dying with the new. The old civilization has decayed and he finds nothing to replace it. So 19th century is dying, that is the old civilization is dying, but the speaker does not find anything that will replace the old civilization. Isolated from those who have sought their household fires, the speaker sees a death-haunted landscape and a growing gloom. Isolated means separated, gloom means darkness. So the poet also contrasts the barren landscape with the warmth of household fires. Hardy himself mourned the passing of agricultural society and saw little cause to celebrate England's rapid industrialization, which helped destroy the customs and traditions of rural life. Now, Thomas Hardy, as an individual, also regretted the end of agricultural society because now there was rapid industrialization and urbanization, and the customs and traditions of rural life were destroyed. The speaker's connection to the past has been severed, and he cannot find meaning in the present at the dawn of a new century. Severed means broken off. So, as the old customs and traditions were dying, the speaker could not connect himself with the past, and the approaching 20th century brought only doubts and uncertainties. The thrush's song though full of hope and joy, offers little in the way of meaning. The bird is frail, gaunt, and small, and his carolings, though joyful and full hearted, are an even song and about to end. Frail means weak, gaunt means very thin, especially because of sickness or hunger. Carolings refers to singing. Even song is a song sung in the evening, or we can also say evening service worshipping of God. In churches, when they worship God, they sing the songs, they are said to be the even song. In the third stanza, though the thrush sings a song full of hope, it does not help in finding meaning of life. The bird itself is weak, thin, old. It is about to die. Though it is singing a song full of joy, it is an even song. The song sung in the evening, it is about to end, and so it does not bring any hope. Any meaning that a new beginning might bring with it is nowhere to be found, neither in the landscape nor in the speaker's heart. So the readers do not find any meaning that the new beginning that is approaching 20th century might bring with it. Neither is there any meaning to be found in the speaker's heart. So, this is the theme of search for meaning. I hope you have understood the summary and the themes. For your homework, children, read and revise the themes of nature and search for meaning. Thank you.